We are here for a hot minute, and we are here with Elle, a sports dietitian. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we've been talking about doing this for a while.
We have, indeed. And I want you to tell me tell everyone a bit about who you are, what you do, how you ended up in Cyprus.
Short story or long version?
Short story. Just because we have a lot to yap about.
So yeah, I'm a sports dietitian. Most of my clinical experience as a dietitian was in eating disorders. And when I was doing my master's in sports nutrition, I did my dissertation on the prevalence of disordered eating and eating disorders in athletes, which, if you haven't guessed, is absolutely huge. And so over the last 5 years, I've built my clinic to support active women, particularly those who are athletes, to build a healthier relationship with food. And I also specialize quite nichely in period recovery because that is a very common thing in the fitness space.
It is a very common thing, I think, in general, with women, and it's very under talked about. So it's amazing that you specialize on that. I'm going to ask you a lot more on that later. But tell me about your experience with Heatwave. Where did you see it? How did you get there? Tell me all about it.
So I had just moved to Cyprus and I was like throwing myself into all the random situations to try and obviously like build up my network. And the gym I was going to was advertising Heatwave. They also had like a mini High Rocks. So I went along to support and cheer on the people that I knew from there. And I ended up chatting to a friend of ours who's now a mutual friend.
Oh, yes.
We got close very quickly, trauma bonded over exes, the standard.
The way all the best foot connections are formed. Yes.
No, literally, like you got to go through this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got really close. She has a run club, so I think we've kind of been crossing worlds. And then, Heatwave was how I obviously came to know you.
Yeah.
And such an incredible experience to be around like so many like-minded people, and to see it growing in Cyprus as well, because I'm obviously, as a sports dietitian, really passionate about exercise and movement. And I know you've lived in London, but I feel like the scene is a little bit different. So it's really, I mean, you're trying to bring it.
Yeah. That's what we're all trying to do. That was the thing. Like when I came back, I'm like, I need to bring back a taste of the rest of the world, like the global fitness community. And that's why I always fly in instructors as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's the start of something. But yeah, I think within the past 3 years, like you weren't here for the first one, but if I compare Heatwave year 1 to this year, so many people are understanding the concept now. It's like, oh, it's actually fun to work out.
It's so fun. Yeah. And I think like when I first moved here, my weekends used to be like, run with a friend, grab brunch, get a coffee. And like it kind of centers around some kind of like shared form of movement. And like you said, about it being fun. And I think that's really, part of the work that I do with a lot of women and clients is about changing that relationship with exercise, because for so long it was just about earning or burning food or controlling your body. So I really applaud and love what you're doing.
Thank you. Before I dive into anything else, I'm going to ask you for a hot tip.
I think on that, it would be to stop training for aesthetics and actually train for enjoyment, for health, for connection. There is so many more benefits to exercise than just it being about
your looks.
Your looks. And I can be a testament to this. Like when I looked my leanest and my fittest, I couldn't walk up the stairs without being out of breath. So it's I think we've misconstrued this concept of like health being a certain body or body shape or size for so long, and we do the exact same in the fitness industry.
Yeah, that's true. What's your favorite form of exercise?
I have run a few marathons. Okay. So I do love running. I just love putting my phone on airplane mode for like 3 hours. I know that sounds like absolute hell to people, but it's like,
it's incredible. Yeah.
We were talking earlier about being self-employed and how your brain never switches off. And so like that kind of being that form of
the dream
of a switch off. But I also I love Pilates. I love going for a walk with friends. Paddle is huge in Limassol. So that's really fun.
That's true.
And I've kind of started dipping my toe into High Rocks. And I think being a runner definitely benefits you in that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a runner. I love all types of exercise, don't get me wrong, but definitely not a runner. I'm more of a gym girly. I'm more of a lifter. But High Rocks is one of the things that I'm like, by the end of the year, I need to go to High Rocks. Like I need to go do an official race.
Honestly, like doing races, and it was the same at marathons, like when you're actually at the event, it's seeing the crowd and like people supporting you. Like
Yeah.
the atmosphere is just unmatched, and nobody else gives a shit what time you were doing or
Yeah.
what race you're running in. It's like
They're
they're just
cheering
there
you
to
on.
support
Yeah.
you. We can do a relay. I'll run, you do the station.
Okay. Deal. we're saying this live, so there's no going back now. You said that. But yeah, I think all these kinds of events are so nice, and you get such a nice bond with people.
Yeah.
That it's unmatched.
And I think like the likes of Heatwave and other kind of fitness events, particularly in Cyprus, has brought some of my closest connections.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like, you know, I'm not just friends with these people because we both
Train. Yeah.
like train, but it's a really good, I would always encourage like anyone who's new to a city or whatever, like get out there and do those kind of hobbies, because you will find people that aren't just like, that might be the thing that matches you
They're
initially,
like-minded.
but you're not going to be friends with them if it's only running that you have in common. So.
Sure. but I think active people do have similar traits. Like they do have a lot of like similar things in their discipline, in the way they set up their day, in the way they think, in the way they eat. So I think it does all tie in together.
Yeah. And I think I have, again, like a lot of clients who really struggle with this concept of, you know, as we will talk about with period recovery, maybe having to temporarily take a step back from movement. A lot of people worry about, well, like, what will all my friends think?
Yeah.
And I try to remind them again, like, that might be that connection piece. And again, you might share commonalities in so many things, but that also extends to so many other parts of your life too. And they're not just friends with you because of that.
Of course
and
not.
if they are, get new friends.
That is so true. But I think that's like taking a step back is something I think people are becoming a bit more aware of now. I think we're moving away from the go hard or go home mentality and a bit towards the like prolonging your health and your longevity and your recovery.
Yeah.
So give me your opinion on all of this.
It is so true that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
That extends to so many different things. And I think, again, you being in London, like that hustle culture, coming back to Cyprus, it being a bit more sika is probably where we want that.
And you're like, whoa.
We want that balance. People actually go to the beach. Gyms are closed at the weekends. Like people actually, there's life outside of it, which I think is so refreshing. But in, I suppose, like that sense, I do agree, which I think is overdue. We are recognizing that, you know, exercising every single day, not taking enough rest days, sacrificing sleep for it, not eating any carbs, like you're ticking all these boxes of trends and stuff on the surface, but particularly if it leads to you losing your period, like that's not health.
That's true.
So where are the benefits of it? And we have to remember as well, like exercise is a stress on the body for everyone, which isn't an issue if you're giving it the resources it needs to adapt, like adequate sleep, fuel, you know, your nutrition. But when your body doesn't have those resources to support it, like it's going to remain in a really stressed state. And when your cortisol is high, cortisol is actually catabolic. So
you took the word from me. I was going to say that's my next question, but keep going.
So cortisol is catabolic. So it actually like promotes body fat storage, because if we think about like survival, that's going to provide fuel for longer than muscle mass. So a lot of people are like, why am I not progressing in my strength in the gym with my body composition goals? And it's like, well, your body thinks you're running from a bear. So maybe ironically, if you train a bit less and eat a bit more, rest a bit more,
sleep a bit more,
you might find your body starts working with you rather than against you.
Yeah. I was gonna my next question was gonna be, what do you think of everyone talking about cortisol face?
Yeah, I mean, the science behind it, it's very TikTok science.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm like, personally, I've had 3 times the cortisol I was meant to have, so I know what it's like to have really high cortisol. But then there's all these TikTok trends of like, oh my God, my face is puffy because I have cortisol face. And you're like, where'd you get that from?
Yeah, I mean, like an accumulation of cortisol. And I will start by saying, like, cortisol, we actually need it. Like, it helps regulate our sleep and wake cycle. We need it to respond to stress. But when it's continuously elevated, like, your body is not having a good time. So it's not going to be prioritizing, you know, recovering from your strength session or your digestion. And that's where, like, all those other things start to go off. And people who are really stressed, like very commonly exhausted as well, but then you can't sleep because it's like that wired but tired feeling. So too much of cortisol is definitely, not good.
But it's what you said before. Too much of anything is not good.
Yeah.
Like you do need a balance in your life. So you kind of need to
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
logical
we're always working towards whatever balance is.
But also balance is different for everyone.
Yeah.
So like you were talking about losing periods from overactivity or from other external factors, but sometimes it can be other things that would make you lose your period. For example, like being overweight or being too stressed or not sleeping enough or really high cortisol. Like there's everything affects each other. So what would you say would be the main thing you see in clients for losing their periods and for unbalancing their hormones?
I think like everything you described there is a stress and people don't see it as a stress.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks stress is just emotional stress or
Mm-hmm.
psychological stress. And it's actually also like physical. And when your body senses there is too much stress, and just to give examples, like you sacrificing sleep, cortisol is highest in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're then training fasted, cortisol is elevated again post exercise. If you're then delaying breakfast until you get to the office, your cortisol is not coming down because your body is trying to support recovery and repair from exercise, and also all the other physiological things it needs energy for in the background.
Yeah.
And so that continuous elevation of cortisol is going to signal to the part of your brain, the hypothalamus, that controls and regulates the production of our hormones, that like we're not safe to be ovulating. So we get the downregulation of those hormones that can lead to your period stopping.
Yeah.
And the most common reason for that is what we know as low energy availability. So that is basically where, when the cost of exercise has been covered, because your body will always prioritize energy towards that, when there is not enough energy remaining to support all the physiological processes within the body. And I always say to clients, your body is basically a host of different systems. You've got your digestive system, your thermoregulation system, your nervous system, your reproductive system. All of these require energy to function. And so when your body is kind of going, we need to conserve some of this, it's going to prioritize keeping your heart pumping and your liver and kidneys working. And those systems get downregulated, which is why when people lose their period as a result of low energy availability, they often also get digestive issues, feeling cold all the time, getting sick a lot. All of these are just signs your body is not having enough energy to thrive. I always say survival, not thrival.
Yeah. That's so true.
And that can be that accumulation, like I said, of like little habits where you could be eating enough, but the way you're distributing energy, we know women particularly like fasting, fasted training, not ideal because we're really sensitive to the distribution of that energy throughout the day. And like you said as well, like not getting enough sleep, exercising too much, even if you're eating enough, is again going to cause that cumulative effect.
I think I have conflicted thoughts on fasting. Okay. I want to hear yours as well. I never used to fast. I used to be the girl that's like, no, I need to keep my metabolism going. Like I need to eat every 3 to 4 hours. But then I tried 24-hour fasts and 36-hour fasts. Not often, obviously. Just as a little cleanse, let's say. Because I'm like, your body keeps having to process food. That's also not getting a break.
But that's what it's designed to do.
Like, I'm not an expert. This is just my like personal experience, right? So I did it the first time, and then I was like, okay, obviously, like I struggled in the morning, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. The next day, I felt so much mental clarity. I don't know why. I don't know the science behind it. Like, I'm not a specialist, but I was like, you know what? For once a month, just as a cleanse, let's call it, I felt like it was great. Obviously, people that fast every single day, their body must be under stress because they're like, where's the energy coming from? Like, there's probably spikes. Like, it's not. Also, if you're training, I can't train fasted.
I wouldn't recommend
it. No. But like, if I want to lift and I actually want to be able to lift, then obviously I need fuel.
I think it comes down to like intention. If you're doing that for mental clarity, I'm sure that can help with focus in some ways. But when people talk about it as like a weight loss tool, I always say like all diets work in the same way. They create a caloric deficit. And I am never going to tell anyone they should or shouldn't do something. I'll always give people like the evidence and the science and probably find like a path of least destruction to achieve something. But the reality is, I suppose, from the standpoint when it comes to female hormones, we are really sensitive to that distribution. And like you said, like people repeatedly fasting, I always say chaotic eating will lead to kind of like chaotic symptoms. And I also work with a lot of people who are susceptible to maybe like when you're not eating enough and eating regularly, then binging, because that is your body kind of going, like we don't know when food is next available. We need to make the most of this. So there's pros and cons to everything, and I think everyone is so individual.
Yeah.
And if you find it beneficial for your mental clarity, then I'm not gonna judge you.
I also feel like it helps with binging, to be fair, because I binge when I'm tired and stressed. It's not a matter of underfueling, because I always keep in mind that I need to have like 20 to 30 grams of protein. Like I've got these things embedded in my head, but when I'm tired and stressed, I might go home, not be hungry, and instead of going to bed, I'll binge on something.
Is that emotional eating or binging?
Ooh, emotional eating. Emotional eating. That's the correct term. You're right.
Yeah,
It's emotional eating of I'm just stressed and I need to do something.
Yeah.
Not that it helps, and not that it's something unhealthy, but a binge is a binge because I'm not eating because I'm hungry, and I'm not eating because it's time to eat. I'm eating like spastically.
Yeah. So you've got, I suppose, like everyone uses the term binging very subjectively, which is different to an objective binge and what we then classify as like binge eating disorder. But I always say when it comes to binges, there's like 4 main pillars. The first one being physical restrictions. So that could be not eating enough throughout the day, and then like overeating in the evening or binging in the evening. It could be not eating enough Monday through to Thursday and then going off the rails at the weekend. It could also be psychological restrictions. So if people are telling themselves like you cannot have that cookie, you probably didn't even notice the cookie, and now all you're thinking about is the cookie. So naturally you're going to then gravitate towards this. And if there's any emotions associated with that, like that being a bad thing, or if you've ruined your diet by having the cookie, it's then like you might push what I call the fuck it button and just eat the entire contents of your fridge. And I always say that's like saying, you know, you got a flat tire, you're going to go slash all your other 3 tires. Like it's just not a helpful mindset. Tires are expensive. So we wouldn't do that. And then you got like emotionally driven binges, which is like you said, we've got an unmet need. Like I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm emotional in some way. And rather than meeting that through something supportive, we're turning to food, because ultimately like food makes us feel good. And a certain level of emotional eating isn't necessarily bad. Food, I always say, like nutrition is a science, eating is a behavior. Of course there's going to be emotions associated with it. But it's just, I suppose, choosing in those moments like how that makes you feel and what would maybe be a more productive.
Well, for me it's like you need to replace that coping mechanism with something else. So in London I used to go for a walk, in Cyprus I used to go for drives. But yeah, at some point when you're like, it's 1 a.m, I just got home, I've had a really long day. I remember like it wasn't even unhealthy. It was just like, why am I doing this?
It helps you just switch off though. Like you dissociate.
I would open the freezer, get frozen blueberries.
This is not a binge, my love.
wait for it. I would put scoops of protein on top, almond milk, and peanut butter. It wouldn't be a binge if I had 1 bowl. After you have 3 or 4 bowls, you're like, yeah, I'm binging because I'm stressed.
I think a subjective binge for sure. But like with both subjective and objective binges, that feeling of being out of control is the theme.
It's the mental state, I think.
Yeah. And I always say, when it comes to those kind of situations, you want to be preventative rather than reactive, because no kind of like tool is going to help you in that moment, because you're so beyond tired and stressed. So like, I know it sounds really stupid, but checking in on like your levels throughout the day. Like if I know I've had a really stressful day by midday, at least then I have a little bit of awareness that I might be vulnerable to engaging in some unproductive behavior when I get home at 6 p.m. or whatever it might be. So just like those regular check-ins, because I think day to day we switch off our emotions because we've got work to do. It's not a convenient time to cry, whatever it might be. And we also become really dissociated from like our hunger and fullness. Like if you're in the middle of work and you're not kind of registering that you're hungry because you're so focused on work, then that is going to kind of come out of nowhere and hit you like a bit of an avalanche at a later point. So just like those regular check-ins and kind of like, what does my body maybe need? So it doesn't come crashing down asking for something else at the later point.
So what would your tip be to someone who's super busy from morning till night, apart from like being conscious of those check-ins? But would you say meal prep? Would you say like reminders? Like how would you advise someone to deal with it?
I often try to get people to switch their mindset to eating before you're really hungry, because I always say it's a bit of a slingshot effect. Like if you're starving, you're probably going to overshoot. So actually having like a snack in the afternoon, even though you might not fancy it, might then help you raiding the cupboards when you get home for dinner. But definitely like meal prep, I always have snacks in like the glove box of my car, like little situations like that where you can just have something to prevent that from happening. But I would also suggest like alerts and reminders. And our body really actually loves like that consistency of energy. And people often see that with like, you get hungry at the times you normally eat. Like our body is in a rhythm. So it's kind of like trying
our
to
body
just,
clock.
it's just trying to keep with that.
Yeah. You just said, you just brought something to my mind, but protein. I want to discuss protein because we had a bit of a conversation this morning. Once you said I have snacks in the glove box of my car, I'm like, okay, you did something this morning. We went to get coffee and you took out a bag of protein powder and poured it into your oats.
A sachet. I'm not that unhinged.
A sachet. Yes, a sachet. I used to do that all the time. But what would you say is the biggest misconception of protein? Because protein is like protein and creatine have become like the latest trend of things people talk about. But how do you determine what's a good source of protein? When you should be taking it? How much you should be taking? In what forms?
So I think like the protein hype is definitely overhyped. We were joking earlier about like protein toothpaste and protein popcorn, like so unnecessary. It is true that when you're more active, your requirements for protein increase. So they go from like 1.2 to you're looking at 1.4, 1.6 to up to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. Most evidence indicates that intakes greater than 2 grams per kilo is not actually beneficial. And you also have to remember that like carbs are really important too, and your body's priority is energy. And so if you're not getting enough carbs, but and I see this all the time, everyone just loading up on protein, like protein is going to be used to provide energy rather than doing its actual job. So we need that balance of all those nutrients for a reason. But protein is also the one macronutrient that we cannot store in our body. So that is why we do recommend having it at regular intervals throughout the day. And in that post-workout window, which is why I was putting my protein in my oats. It was going to be that or a protein shake. Your rate of muscle breakdown is higher, and so we want to get a little bit more protein in that window. So you're aiming for 25 to 30 grams of protein post-workout to help maximally stimulate what we know as muscle protein synthesis. So that's the process in which your muscle fibers can basically be repaired. Yeah. What were the other points?
What's the biggest misconception with protein?
That you need to have it in everything.
You need to have it in everything, but also like I think a lot of people don't know what actually contains protein and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So like it'll be marketed as a protein drink, but actually it's just got a bit of yogurt in it.
Yeah.
I think you see that a lot more in like the US than this side of the globe, but I think it's a huge false hope that they give people.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what the term you used earlier, but it upsets me when like I think people are trying to do their best, like, oh, I heard protein is good or I heard fiber is good. So then they get sucked into like all this marketing, and like we were talking about with the popcorn, like for the protein popcorn, you're only getting like 6 grams of protein for the popcorn, which is like, not probably what's the word?
It's not the correct, It's not the main component of the product. You're just
it's not the most efficient source, I suppose. You're just sprinkling it in, which is it's just unnecessary because protein is naturally already in the likes of bread. That doesn't make bread like the best source of protein.
Protein bread.
Yeah, there's also protein bread. But there is protein in most things. But the likes of like nuts, the predominant nutrient in that is going to be fat. The predominant nutrient in bread, pasta, rice is going to be carbohydrates. And so like when it comes to your protein sources, we look at kind of the quality of them. And most animal-based protein sources, so like your eggs, your Greek yogurt, your meat, fish, all of those things are what we would consider more high biological value because they contain all the essential amino acids. Hopefully not going too sciencey. And then you've got your plant proteins like your beans, pulses, legumes, nuts, which contain more low biological value protein. The reason why we kind of look at them in that way is most plant-based sources of protein are low or lacking an essential amino acids. And specific amino acids play a role in muscle building as well. So we need leucine to support muscle protein synthesis. And again, most animal sources of protein are going to provide you with enough leucine to support that. But if you're vegan or vegetarian, you might struggle to get that from a single plant protein source, which is why we always recommend for people who follow a plant-based diet to combine their sources of protein. So by having beans on toast, you're making up for like one lacking amino acid through the other. So you're getting the full combination. So vegans and vegetarians have to be a bit more cautious and pay a bit more attention to the combinations of the proteins that they're having.
What supplements would you recommend to your average athlete?
Definitely creatine.
Okay.
Creatine, you don't need to do a loading phase, just 3 to 5 grams every day. It can be really beneficial for a lot of things. I would specifically look at the likes of like vitamin D, depending on where you live. Although interestingly, a lot of superfoods actually have low vitamin D.
I was going to say, for a sunny island.
I know, but it's because no one sits in the sun.
I do.
Okay, you do. Yeah, you've got a nice tan. But I think we still spend a lot of time inside. Yeah. But your vitamin D and omega-3s, if you are not eating oily fish at least twice a week, I would recommend a vitamin D, an omega-3 supplement.
Okay. That's very simple. That was not
really simple. I'm such a believer in like a food first approach. Obviously, if you've got someone who is plant-based, they might need a B12 supplement. Like you might look at the other kind of nutrients that they're going to be lacking in their diet. But I just am so against this culture of taking a supplement for things that food does. And I see it all the time where people are like not eating enough and they're like, I'm tired all the time, so I'm taking like zinc and iron and all these things. And I'm like, it's just not going to touch the sides if you don't have enough energy. And that's the thing people don't really realize is when we look at nutrients, you've got your macronutrients, so carbs, protein, and fats, and your micronutrients. And the reason why it's macro and micro is because you need them in greater amounts versus smaller amounts. So I think people get caught up in the supplement space. And again, I think it's a marketer's dream, really.
It is. Like if they could sell you anything, they would. Like I remember when I first went to the US and I spent some time there, everyone was on melatonin, and I was like, can you not sleep? And they're like, no, but it's better. It's deeper sleep. It's better sleep. And I'm like, who tells you this? Like, who fed you this information? Every single person I knew was on melatonin.
And the other thing as well is the supplement industry is not as tightly regulated as the food industry. So what it says on the back of the packet, unless it's been batch tested, like there's very little regulation around what that could be something different. Which is why when you have the likes of elite level athletes, like you have to be so careful with what you're taking and making sure it's like Informed Sport will batch test things, and the stamp on those supplements will indicate that they have been batch tested and contain what they said they should contain. I feel like, again, it was probably a TikTok. Someone tested their protein powder and it was like 98% sugar. It was actually like no protein in it.
I'm going to search that on TikTok. I think I would have a heart attack if that happened to me.
It's like, why am I not getting any stronger?
How did they test it?
I don't know. It was TikTok.
I'm going to search that. That's insane. Like I'm the person who will read every food label and analyze everything before I consume it. If I thought I was taking protein and I was actually just feeding myself sugar, I would kill myself. Like, honestly.
I mean, I'm sure it would be used for something, but like this is again where it's really unfair, where people are like trying to do something right by their health and then being misled in so many ways. So the supplement industry definitely needs to step up its game.
Yeah, or maybe like the controls in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there's enough supplements out there, so we don't need more of those. But yeah, it's the regulation around it.
What's the biggest thing you feel is missing from the market in Cyprus, other than Fake Town?
Probably better gyms. Well, maybe Nicosia is a little bit different, but Limassol, like, I really miss having a nice, clean gym with changing rooms I want to use, and really good equipment and aircon. And it feels like you can only choose like one or two of those things.
There's a handful.
Yeah, so there's definitely a market if anyone wants to open a gym in Limassol.
I feel like a few are opening in Limassol though.
Yeah, there are definitely more.
And then there's a few opening in Nicosia as well that are even more new and
it's all your influence from Heatwave.
It all started from Heatwave. I'll take credit for that one. I don't mind.
Yeah.
What gym did you go to in the UK? Can you say that? Are you allowed?
I went to CrossFit, so I was in a couple of
Okay.
CrossFit boxes. I was in Fitness First at one point.
Okay.
I tried Equinox, and I did have a couple of occasions at Barry's, but not. I hate being limited to just classes. I like to be able to use an open
Fair
gym,
enough.
and then all of a sudden you've got like 20 different subscriptions. So yeah,
ClassPass.
ClassPass was really good, actually.
ClassPass.
Yeah, that was really good. Good to try
You
different
can go
things.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, okay, I was a Barry's nut, so I can't say anything. Live and breathe the brand. Like, if honestly, my sports bra inside this is Barry's.
You said you weren't a runner.
Yeah, I used to do double floor.
You used to do double floor. That's...
For 3 years, I did not step on a treadmill.
Stop it.
I only stepped on a treadmill after I started working at Barry's, where Chris Baxter, my first ever Barry's instructor, who was a runner, goes to me, come on, just get on the treadmill. And I was like, I'll do it once just for the thing. He's like, if I see you on a treadmill, I've seen it all. I'm like, fine, if you're challenging me, I'll get on the treadmill. And then I went through a phase where I would do treads all the time.
Double treads.
No. Calm down. There was one day where I wanted to do Anya's class and Sandy's class, the two owners of Barry's UK back then. And they're back to back. So Anya used to do the 8:30 and then Sandy used to do the 9:30. 8:15, sorry. Anyway. And they were back to back. And I was like, well, how am I going to do 2 classes back to back? I can't do 2 double floors. So with Sandy's class, I did double floor. And then with Anya's class, I did double tread.
I hope you took some intro workout carbs with you.
I had some Hermosa protein after. During the workout, I can't even drink water. Like, I'm that person. I can't, like, I'm training. Don't look at me.
I'm going to work on you.
Yeah. No water, no, like nothing. But after class, obviously, I came out, I had my Hermosa shake. I sat there, calmed down, took a break.
Regulate the nervous system.
But yeah, that's my hot take. Do you have a tip you want to tell the Heatwave crew? A tip, something, or do you have a question for me? Putting you on the spot.
You are putting me on the spot. If you have any suggestions, throw them my way.
I told you, I'm not planning anything. You're on your own, kid.
I thought I'd done well to be on the spot.
Whatever you say can and will be held against you.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go.
What is your vision for Heatwave?
My vision for Heatwave is for it to be a global community. So I don't want it to just be the festival. I want it to be a platform and a community that's travels. It's all over the world. And you have different touch points in different cities of the world, but you also have the digital side where you can get to know a trainer in Singapore or a nutritionist in Cyprus or an athlete from the UK, and just get a little piece of who they are, what they do, and learn something.
And what is your motivation behind doing
that? I love it. I live and breathe it because I love it. It's my passion.
Breathe it.
Yeah. It's my passion. It never started, like, it started as a crazy idea of if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you tried. And then I managed to turn it into a full-time thing.
And I have no doubt that vision is going to come to life.
Amen to that.
Well, if you need a dietitian on the Cyprus end, let me know.
Why do you think you're here? Lovely. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And catch you in the next one.
We will.